Okay, you guys, so weather is turning here in the Pacific Northwest. Still got the nice watch though. You guys, so what did I learn from day 2? I apologize for not making this video at the end of the day. The event thing didn't end until like 9 o'clock. I was already tired. It's been like 11 hours of straight just information and networking. So what did I learn yesterday? I learned from 𝐸𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞𝐿. I'll never be able to spell his last name. But I learned from him that the tide is shifting. It's shifting from Airbnbs, right? Everybody, and people know this, right? If you're in real estate at all, you know Airbnbs have been regulated. Neighbors hate them. The platform itself is kind of, it feels like it's kind of against the hosts, right? Really wanting to provide the users a good experience, which means they kind of have to lean on the hosts. When there's damages or misunderstandings or people don't check in or check out at the right time. And he said, hey, listen, would you want to jump into something that neighbors hate, that's being regulated, that the government doesn't like, that takes housing inventory off the market, right? That's not good. Or would you rather go into this bluer ocean of co-living? And as you guys know, yes, I complain all the time about my rent by the room model in Milwaukee, Oregon. But for somehow he has all of his co-living, all of his properties in, I think, Phoenix, Arizona, and he has a property management company that kind of runs that for him. But he said if he did not have that, there's some critiques he has about a company called PadSplit. But he said, listen, overall, they're nationwide. Unless you can find a property management company that you trust and is willing to take on rent by the room tenants, because I've had multiple people I know, property manager I know, they said, Brandon, we're not going to do rent by the room. We just won't. It's too much effort. So they do it. I've talked to a couple people. I haven't talked to them directly, so I have no actual data, but somebody told me they charge about 10%. Somebody told me that they're using them. I've heard people say, there's pros and cons, but honestly, 10% for managing rent by the room is not bad. Some people charge 10% for long-term rentals, and rent by the room is definitely, I can promise you, personal experience, is much more work than just one family in a single family residence. So moving on from that, I learned about light industrial. These people are killing it. I believe it's Mike and Bo, something like that. Joe and Bo. I can't remember their names. Sorry. It was a long day yesterday. But basically what they do is in smaller secondary and tertiary markets in Texas, they're looking for light industrial, what they call tin cans, right? So they're looking for places that have an office, a bathroom, and have like kind of an RV style door, right? And that's for people for them to lease a triple net lease. If you don't know what that is, let me know. I can make a video about triple net leases. But essentially, it's where they pay everything. They pay everything, including rent, maintenance, taxes, insurance. The tenant's responsible for all that stuff, and it's for kind of the working man or woman, right? The plumbing businesses, the electrical businesses, the HVAC businesses, the people who need shop space, mechanics, right? People who store cars and all that stuff, right? So there's always a need for people to store things that won't fit in a regular storage unit. So this is the light industrial. This is the 10 to 50,000 square feet that has multiple shops type thing, right? So very cool, very interesting strategy. I don't know. That's just so different than what I've done, because everything I've done is like residential and they're working like on the commercial side. So I'm not saying that I'm not interested. I'm just saying, Brandon, focus. There's so many things you could possibly do, and they're killing it. And they're taking that money and they're buying businesses. So they're killing it with businesses, and they have it all managed and yeah, it's just crazy. And then of course we heard from the man, the myth, the legend, Pace Morby. And his overall message was buy assets now. buy them now. He's like, when he first picked up the mic, he said, have you guys seen the job reports? Have you seen that year over year, we've added 30,000 jobs as a country with the revisions and stuff like that? Check the numbers. But essentially, it's not good. And he said, this is a bad trend. This is a bad trend for people who rely on the, jobs, which is like almost all of us, right? People who rely on jobs for income are in trouble with automation, with AI, with robots. His example was shipping and logistics. He said like 3 million or 30 million or something like that amount of people, like 7% of the jobs are based on moving things or people. And he said, hey, when Tesla's, electric semi-truck has AI and they can just, with a remote, ship something from New York to Portland, Oregon with an unmanned, non-gas powered semi-truck, a lot of jobs, and not today, not tomorrow, maybe not even 5 years from now, but it's coming. That's the thing. And that's what he said. He said in the next 36 months, this is everyone, you, me, this is everyone's time to prepare. You need to start buying assets now. And if you can't buy them now, you need to put yourself in a position where you can start buying them within the next 36 months. And he honestly said, he kind of spoke to me a little bit. He's like, hey, if you have a couple properties, which I do, you'll probably be fine, right? You need to buy them now, and you can wait 10, 20 years, right? If you have a couple assets, you'll be okay, but you need at least a couple, 2, 3, 4, which is what I have. He said, but if you want to ensure your survival, buy as much as you can. And I agree. And if you're not afraid of AI, right? Which is kind of crazy, because I thought being in sales, like, oh yeah, no one's going to buy from a robot. These AI voices are getting pretty good. Are they taking credit card numbers? Are they closing deals just yet? I don't think so, but they're much closer than I thought. I thought being in sales, that human touch, that, like, hey man, did you watch the big game, the building of rapport, or you followed up with leads for a while, like, hey, how's the kids? I don't know if robots are going to do that just yet, but with ChatGPT, I know they have the memory. I know they can, right? Like if they get data inputted, if they knew everything about me and said, hey, build rapport with Brandon, and they asked him like, oh, hey, Brandon, how's it being a landlord? You still mowing lawns? That would build rapport. I'd say, yes, I am, unfortunately, right? So, it's getting scary, you guys, and really, really need to start looking at this and preparing yourself. So, what else did and I also learned that he is going heavy on RV parks, and that other people are saying, he's done the research, and we know, like, if he's going in RV parks, he sees something there. And I mean, even kind of myself, I was like, wow, man, if Pace Morby really is believing in RV parks, and the thing that really got me, that I need to look into, is people are living in these RV parks. They're not just recreational vehicles anymore. It's more affordable to live in these things, right? To pay Pace Morby $800 space rent per month, and or mobile home parks, but he likes RV parks a little bit better, I guess, just because they have wheels and they can, get out of the property. It's a lot easier to move an RV than it is a trailer, right, without wheels. So I get that, and I'm just like, oh wow, this is a good point. He said when all these people lose jobs, they're going to go to the most affordable thing that they possibly can, and it may be RVs. Because right now people are living in cars, and in fact we might even see, and this is just me speculating, we might even see, because cities and towns don't want people sleeping in their cars and parking lots and stuff, we might even see RV parks and mobile home parks start having sections for people who live in their cars. So this is scary, you guys. People can't afford, I mean, even the fourplexes that I have, right? My rents hover around $1,500-1,600 a month. What happens when people can't afford that? What happens if they can't afford $1,000 a month? And it's not because they don't want to. It's because AI took the job, robot took the job, companies aren't hiring, inflation, and what we're seeing a lot of now, and this is kind of what Jamil was talking about, is people are already living together, like families, friends, right? In fact, I have a friend that I know. He moved in, him and a friend of his and their partners moved into a house together. And because neither of them could afford like the $2,200 a month rent payment by themselves, so they moved in together and pulled the rent, so they're each only paying $1,200. Anyways, it ended up not working out, so he had to move again. Funny enough, actually, he asked me if I knew anybody, and I said I'll put out the word, and I actually found him a place to live from a landlord guy that I know. Anyways, I don't want to get too crazy with this, but that's kind of like day 2. What have I learned? Obviously, there's so much networking opportunity, so many different people that I've talked to that are like looking for money, that have money, that are doing deals. There was a lady that I talked to, couldn't believe it. She said, I'm in contract on 2 RV parks right now. And then she said, oh yeah, and then on top of that, I'm not using any of my own money. She said I found a private money lender to pay for the down payment and everything. And I'm like, how in the world are you doing that? And she said, well, Brandon, I was kind of like you. For the last 20 years, I've been buying and trying to scale, and bought a house and bought a couple duplexes and self-managed it. And my husband was mowing the lawns like you are. And we just finally decided like we need to scale, and RV parks was what we're looking for. And we went for it. So I'm not saying that that's what I'm going to do, but I'm looking. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you so much for following me. I'm on Facebook, here on YouTube. I really appreciate you guys. I'm going to keep putting out the content. I'm going to keep teaching, learning, and growing and networking and trying to provide as much value to you guys and my school community as I possibly can. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend.